Okay, so now if we turn to page 35 in the study guide, page 35, we're going to look at problem number 6. Problem number 6 is 8x minus 3 times 2x minus 4 equals 17. So I distribute first, being careful. Grandma's negative and this grandchild's negative, so I'm going to make sure that ends up being positive. So this becomes minus 6x plus 12. Be careful of that. That's the most common mistake. Equals 17. I combine like terms. 8x minus 6x, and 8x and a negative 6x is positive 2x plus 12 equals 17. Minus 12, minus 12. 2x equals 5. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X equals 5 halves. Okay? Now, for the rest of these, if you wanted to try to do these on your own first, and then watch the video and make sure you're right, that would be a good strategy. So any point, stop the video, try the next problem on your own, and then see if you get it right. Okay, so number 7, 6y minus 3 equals negative 1 plus 2y. Okay, there's absolutely no reason for there to be parentheses on the right-hand side because grandma's 1. So I'm just going to rewrite this without the parentheses. Now I have a variable on both sides. My goal is to get the variable on just one side. So I could subtract 6y from both sides, or I could subtract 2y from both sides. To keep it positive, I'm going to subtract 2y. So I get 4y minus 3 equals negative 1. Then I add 3 to both sides. 4y equals 2. Now, at this point, a common mistake is to look at this quickly and say, oh, y equals 2, because you always think you should be dividing by the smaller number. But remember, you just automatically divide by the coefficient of the variable. So y equals 2/4 or 1/2. But be careful in that last step. A lot of times it's that last step where you mess up. Okay. Now let's look at number 8. And again, if you want to try number 8 on your own first, go ahead and do it and then see if you did it correctly. Okay, so number 8 is 2 times a minus 3 plus 7 equals 5 times a plus 2 minus 3a minus 19. Okay, so I'm going to distribute first. 2a minus 6 plus 7 equals 5a plus 10 minus 3a minus 19. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to combine like terms. So I have a 2a, a negative 6, and a positive 7. 2a stays alone. When I combine a 7 and a negative 6, I get plus 1. On this side, I'm going to combine a 5a and a negative 3a. So that's a positive 2a. I'm going to combine a positive 10 and a negative 19. So that's going to be a negative 9. Now, I want to get my variable on the same side. So I subtract 2a from both sides and I go, uh-oh, variable disappears. What happens when the variable disappears? Well, 2 options. When the variable disappears, you either have all real numbers or no solution. How do I know the difference? If I end up with a statement that is true, it's all real numbers. If I end up with a statement that is false, it's no solution. Well, 1 does not equal negative 9. So this is no solution. So when the variable disappears, it's either going to be all real numbers if you end up with a true statement, or no solution if you end up with a false statement. Remember, if there's still a variable, you can't decide the truth value. Okay, so now let's look at the next problem, which is a word problem. And the next problem says twice a number increased by 12 is equal to 31 less than 3 times the number. Find the number. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is let n equal number. And now I'm just going to translate. Twice a number would be 2n. Increased by 12 is plus 12. Is equal to means equals. 31 less than. Well, remember, whenever we see less than, we know whatever comes after than goes first. 3 times the number minus 31. So remember, if it's less than 31, 31 goes second and the other number goes first. So now I have a variable on both sides. I'm going to get rid of one of the variables. So I subtract 2n. You could have subtracted 3n. It's personal preference. Now I'm going to add 31 to both sides. And 43 equals n. Now let's see if that works. Twice a number. So twice 43 is 86. Increased by 12 is 98. Is equal to 3 times that number, 129, minus 31. Look, it's 98, so it worked. Okay. So let's turn the page, and we have 10 through 13. So again, if you want to try these on your own first, do them on your own, and then listen and see if you got it right. So number 10 says the perimeter of a rectangle is 24 inches. Well, whenever I hear rectangle, I like to draw my rectangle. The perimeter is 24. Okay. Find the dimensions, the length and the width, if the length is 3 inches greater than the width. Well, if the width is W, 3 inches greater means the length is W plus 3. So I like to label my rectangle. Now I know the perimeter is you add all the sides together. So if I add, I could either just write W plus 3 plus W plus W plus 3 equals 24. Or what I prefer to do is I just look at my picture. I have W plus W plus W plus W. That's 4W. Plus 3 is 6 equals 24. Now, if I added this together now, that's 4W plus 6. So I'm doing the same thing. I just prefer to add it on the picture. Now, minus 6, we get 4W equals 18. Divide by 4, divide by 4. W equals 9/2 or 4.5. And if W is 4.5, the length is 3 more than that, so it's 7.5. Okay, so again, instead of me actually saying let W equals width, I just show it by putting it on the diagram. Okay, number 11 says the membership fee for joining a camping association is $55. A local campground charges members $40 per night and non-members $45 per night. After how many nights is the cost the same for members and non-members? Okay, so they want to know when the cost for members equals cost for non-members. Well, how do I describe the cost for members? Well, members have to pay the $55 fee, and they have to pay 40 per night. So if N is cost of night, members have to pay 55 as a flat fee plus $40 per night. Non-members just have to pay 45 per night. So that would be my equation. I just let the cost for members equal the cost for non-members. I subtract 40n from both sides. I get 55 equals 5n. Divide both by 5. And the cost per night is $11. Or no, sorry. It's not the cost per night. It's number of nights. I'm sorry. Number of nights. So if you're going to stay, excuse me, if you're going to stay at least 11 nights, it's worth you becoming a member. If you're planning on staying less than 11 nights, it's not worth becoming a member. Okay, now let's look at number 12. Number 12 says the second angle of a triangle is 9 less than 3 times the first. Okay, so this is talking about angles of a triangle. So I know angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 equals 180. That's how I like to start these problems. If it's angles of a triangle, I write this equation. If it's complementary angles, I write this equation. If it's supplementary angles, I write this equation. Okay, always a good habit to get into. So I have to add angle 1, angle 2, and angle 3 together, and I should get 180. Well, now I have to define what angle 1 is, what angle 2 is, what angle 3 is, and I know the total. I know the total is going to be 180. So I go ahead and set up my chart like this. So let's figure out how to name the angles. Well, it talks about the second angle being 9 less than 3 times the first, and the third half the first. So that means I'm going to let the first equal x. And the second is 9 less than 3 times the first. So remember, less than means that comes second. 3 times the first comes first. And the third angle is 1/2 the first. Okay, so I have a fraction, but I'm not going to let that mess me up. I'm going to add my x's. 3x plus x is 4x. So this is 4 1/2 x minus 9. So that's my equation. Now, I know I never use mixed numbers in an equation, so I'm going to change this into an improper fraction. So it becomes 9/2 x minus 9 equals 180. I'm going to apply SADMEP. Before I multiply by anything, I'm going to add 9 to both sides. So I get 9/2 x equals 189. Now, I don't want the fraction, so I'm going to multiply both sides by the common denominator, which is 2. And I end up with 9x equals 189 times 2 is, okay, 18, carry the 1, 16, 17, carry the 1, 278. Something's wrong. 18, carry the 1, that's 16, 17, that's 378. Can't add. So 378 divided by 9, divided by 9. 9 goes into 36 4 times, 9 goes into 18 twice, so x equals 42. So if x is 42 and half of that is 21, and then 3 times 42 is 126. 126 minus 9 is 117. I'm going to add these to make sure I'm right. 7 plus 2 is 9, 10, 0, carry the 1. 8, 180. Okay, so it works. Okay, and now number 13 says draw a vertical angle. So vertical angles are opposite angles. So 1 and 2 are vertical angles. Okay, angle 1 and angle 2 vertical. I could also have done 3 and 4 because angle 3 and angle 4 are vertical. Okay, now angle 2 and angle 3, think of what they would be. They would be supplementary. Angle 2 and angle 4 would be supplementary. Angle 1 and angle 4 would be supplementary, and 1 and 3 would be supplementary. And also 1 and 3 would be adjacent, and 2 and 3 would be adjacent because adjacent means next door. Oh, the next one says draw some adjacent angles. So if this is 1, 2 would be adjacent to 1. But also, if this is 1, 3 would be adjacent to 1. So adjacent means they share array. Notice these share array. They're next door neighbors. I like to think of Jason being my next door neighbor, so it's adjacent. Complementary angles are when angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 90. So I make this a 90-degree angle. If this is 1 and this is 2, they are complementary. Supplementary angles add up to 180. This is a straight angle, which is 180. So if this is 1 and this is 2, angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 180. So supplementary angles add up to 180. Complementary angles add up to 90. I remember that because 90 is first on the number line and C for complementary is first in the alphabet. Supplementary S is second and 180 comes after 90. So that's how I remember. Also, we know that the three angles of a triangle add up to 180. And adjacent angles are next door angles. So in this case, adjacent would be 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 1. Okay. Vertical angles are opposite angles. So 2 and 4, 1 and 3. And supplementary angles would be angles that add up to 180. So when you have a straight line like this, 1 and 2 would be supplementary. Okay, so that is the end of the study guide.